This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the current state of WWE. It is June 26, 2023, a Monday evening. And right now as we speak, as always, Monday Night Raw is going on, so I'm not privy to things going on Monday night. And as we go through the topic here tonight of Money in the Bank, specifically the Money in the Bank ladder matches and the expectations and predictions and anything else wacky that could happen in both the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches, I have Anthony DeMarco, as always, back to discuss these two matches. And Anthony, are you excited about the event? And more specifically, are you excited about these two matches that are going to headline the show?
Yeah, you know what? I think that I am pretty excited for this event, and not only because it's going to be overseas and presume, is it a big stadium that they're doing it in? I would imagine
O2 Arena in London, yeah.
That's going to be nuts to see. It seems like more and more of these shows are going overseas and being done in stadiums. But I really do think that the women and the men involved in their respective matches are going to put on a really good show. And, you know, I look at the men's side, and maybe we could start there. And it feels like every guy in this match is almost tailor-made to be involved in a ladder match. Like, you usually have like a big man or two, but this may be one of the first times where you have a ladder match with not one single bigger wrestler.
You don't. Everybody is like you said, just born and bred to be in this match when you pull from who's available on the roster. And I really have no really concerns about the quality of this matchup. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but when I look at this, Shinsuke, Ricochet, Butch, Santos Escobar, Damian Priest, LA Knight, and we'll talk about him shortly, and of course a late addition of Logan Paul. I don't know about you. I look at this and I'm saying there's going to be a lot of holy S chants, a lot of oh my God, and a lot of fans who are watching at home turning away or waiting for the referee to put up that X sign going, oh my God, are they dead? I think that there's going to be a lot of that, and I'm looking forward to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, and there's not a lot of favorites here, right? Like, I think we could narrow it down to three. Like, Shinsuke, I don't think he's a guy made for to carry the briefcase at this point. One, because of his age and kind of like maybe have they missed the mark with Shinsuke Nakamura as like a main event world champion?
It's over. I mean, I know that he main evented WrestleMania with AJ Styles. How many years ago? Like 6 years ago, whatever it was.
2018.
Yeah, I think that was for them the one and done. I think we have seen where Shinsuke is placed in the WWE hierarchy. He'll occasionally grab that IC or US belt, but that's kind of his cap, I think. Yeah.
And then you get Ricochet, who is in there just to be a spot fest. So kind of in the same way I would venture to guess as like a kind of Shelton Benjamin in the first two Money in the Bank ladder matches. And then, but you know what? Ricochet is perfect for matches like this. You get Butch and Santos Escobar, two guys from like two very popular factions right now in the Brawling Brutes and the, I wanted to say Legado del Fantasma,
I know,
but the
LWO. Yeah.
And you know what? On a side note, I really liked the theme song of Legado del Fantasma, so I'm kind of disappointed that they switched it with the LWO. And then it leaves you with LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul. And I mean, LA Knight, obviously a heavy favorite going in just because of the crowd reactions. But, like, it's crazy that, like, the three guys going in as the favorites are three overwhelming heels. And like you've always said, it's tailor-made for a heel to win.
These are matches that are tailor-made for heels to win, and I stick by that and stand by that. But at the same time, babyfaces have won in the past. I mean, hell, John Cena won it in the past. Of course, he did it in the most just kind of tongue in cheek, stomach churning way of, hey, I'm going to give you a week notice that I'm going to cash in. I remember that. But it is generally made for a heel to win. I don't think anyone's going to give a damn about how LA Knight wins or any of that as long as LA Knight wins. Honestly, I know people are fearful that Logan Paul is there. They added him late, and he's a real threat to win. I don't believe Logan Paul is going to win. There's so many reasons why Logan Paul should not and will not win. I know he's gone toe-to-toe with Roman. He's done a great job. He has. I mean, regardless of how you feel about him personally, Logan Paul is a legitimate athlete, and he is a legitimate in-ring competitor. I mean, he's shown it, and that's great, and he does elevate the quality of this match, no doubt about it. The spots that Logan Paul and Ricochet are going to do are going to be insane. They're going to be GIFs, they're going to be memes, they're going to be highlight reels. This is a highlight reel match, no doubt. But to me, I think it's LA Knight or bust. I don't know if WWE planned on LA Knight winning, but I can tell you, I'm getting that feeling from just the fans, the feeling of the fans on Twitter and the way they're reacting to LA Knight in the arenas. If LA Knight doesn't win, can you see like a complete revolt from the fans, or do you think they'll go, well, we wanted him to win, but we'll accept Damian or Logan Paul?
I don't think he's going to win because I think this is a slow play by WWE, and you've kind of alluded to this as well. A slow play by WWE to not only get him more over, but I think they're slowly transitioning him to a babyface. And you made this comparison on your Raw review last week, but it really feels akin to The Rock about how he was just so cool and so, I guess, catchy and what's the word? Magnetic. Has like magnetic, exactly. Like The Rock does that. Like it feels like they're going to just see how long that they could push this. And I don't know if they're going to put the briefcase with him because, like you said, then maybe the fans will just jump to the whole conclusion of, oh, well, they're pushing him. Now we got to turn on it. I think Damian Priest is going to walk out of it with the briefcase, and I actually am a fan of Damian Priest and think he would be a good briefcase holder. But I just think that they have bigger plans for LA Knight, and his major push is going to come as a babyface, which would be kind of like the opposite of what the briefcase is typically made for.
That is a solid case against this. And having Damian Priest win, he is my second favorite. I'm still going to go with LA Knight winning, but LA Knight, whether he has the briefcase or not, is over. They've already done their best. They've given it their best shot to get him booed. They put him against a returning Bray Wyatt. That did absolutely nothing for Bray and everything for LA Knight, which was the complete opposite desired result from WWE. And then they barely gave LA Knight any mic time. They didn't give him any victories outside of like one or two at that point. He beat Rey Mysterio this past week on SmackDown and then gets cheered for it. One of the biggest baby faces of all time in Rey gets booed by the crowd, and LA Knight gets cheered, right? So that's telling. I don't think if LA Knight wins this and cashes in a way that is typically viewed as cowardice would turn the fans against LA Knight. I know that the fans are reacting in a positive way already, and there's not much more they could do, I think, to try to get the fans to boo him. But it does. It kind of just it makes you wonder, is WWE realizing that the second fans smell that they're getting behind LA Knight, are they going to turn? So basically, just don't do anything and the fans will continue to support him. It's a weird dynamic, one that I think fans oftentimes shoot themselves in the foot, where they want somebody to be pushed and the WWE pushes them and then the fans turn, and that's been a problem in the past. But I'm sticking with LA Knight as my pick right now. Of course, guys, my official predictions will come out on Thursday. But right now, as it stands, LA Knight, I think, is going to win. Damian Priest is a very close second because, look, there's tension between Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Finn Balor, I think, is about to be excommunicated from the group. There's hints of Finn and Damian having some kind of tension that explodes, and Damian carrying around the briefcase, I think is absolutely plausible. He's a heel. He fits the role perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just more of a story to be told with Damian Priest with the briefcase. And that's not a slight against LA Knight. I just think, like, this is what I'm looking at right now on SmackDown. I think LA Knight should be the guy to take the United States Championship off of Austin Theory. And then that should start his babyface run. And then you could slowly build him into the main event scene. And I just think, and like it even kind of feels John Cena-esque from 2003, where he was like the heel rapper, the only time in his career that he was a heel, I should say. And then eventually the crowd organically got behind him. And then you start him with a mid-card championship and eventually moved him up. I know LA Knight is already 40 years old, but I don't think age really has a lot to do here with it. I just think that there obviously won't be as much tread left on the tire when he does become a main eventer. As opposed to Damian Priest, I feel like his age, the group he's in, what Finn Balor's doing simultaneous right now in the World Heavyweight Championship picture, I just feel like the story makes more sense with Damian Priest as opposed to LA Knight, because I do really think that there's a babyface spot to be filled on SmackDown, especially in that upper mid-card role. And Austin Theory has been lost in no man's land since WrestleMania, and I think that him versus LA Knight would be a match made in heaven.
Yeah, that is attractive. And I do subscribe to the slow burn. I'm a fan of slow burn, but at the same time, my concern is that slow burn isn't applicable all the time in every scenario that will maximize the result. Meaning, right now, LA Knight is hot. He essentially has gone viral. The pop he got last Monday night after he came out and had that infamous promo against Logan Paul, which was funny, and it did feel very Rock-esque, but I didn't care. It still was funny, and it felt authentic. My concern though is if WWE doesn't strike now and they go the long road with LA Knight, are they risking the flame burning out, and where fans then go, oh well, okay, either I don't have the patience for this, or we actually don't believe they're going to do anything with LA Knight, so screw this. And then they move on and put their support fully behind Cody or maybe somebody else. I don't know. Do you think that's a risk that they're willing to take or will take or shouldn't take with LA Knight?
The risk in trying to send him as a babyface?
Well, to not strike while the iron's hot, essentially. Where right now the crowd is ready. They are ready. And the reaction for him during that match, I think, especially in London, is going to be overwhelming. I really, that's how I feel. And the crowd support is continuing to grow. Do you think that they're risking something that needs to be timed right, and maybe the time is right now instead of trying to play the long game and the flame just kind of burns out with LA Knight?
It depends, because I think that you're onto something when you say that they're trying to push this as long as they can to see how behind the fans are going to get him, or how behind LA Knight the fans are going to get. But if they make him lose Money in the Bank, I think by SummerSlam latest, you have to put the United States Championship on him. Mm-hmm. If you push him in another capacity, and that capacity means gold, it can't just mean that he's getting a bunch of wins on television. Because right now, even when he was losing, he was on TV a lot, which is still a positive thing. When you're just getting consistent television time, and oftentimes on Raw and SmackDown, that is a positive. Now he's starting to win more. Now he's in a major match. And if he loses, it's not the end of the world, but it cannot just be him going back to doing what he was doing. It can't just be him going back to wrestling Rey Mysterio or whoever's the flavor of the week on SmackDown that particular Friday. It has to be in a legit storyline against Austin Theory turn him babyface and put gold on him. And you know what? I think Austin Theory's run out his welcome in the U.S. title picture as well. Like, he's been holding it pretty much since last year straight, and it's just kind of gotten mundane. So I think Austin Theory could do by moving on to something different. And I think LA Knight with the United States Championship would be a good, I don't even want to call it a consolation prize, because you know how it is. Sometimes when you win the champion, or when you win the briefcase, you could go into obscurity for a few months. Like, we've seen that before. So the briefcase doesn't necessarily destine you for greatness. Like, look what happened with Austin Theory last year. But I think as long as you fast track him into a meaningful program shortly after Money in the Bank, and that would, I would say, ideally end with the U.S. Championship around his waist, latest by SummerSlam, I think that you could afford to take that risk of not striking while the iron is hot, as far as the Money in the Bank briefcase goes.
That is going to be the key, right? It's how quickly do they follow up to this very frustrating loss by LA Knight. And the key is, as you said, immediately following up with, okay, yeah, he lost, but look what he's going to be doing. And I wouldn't take this as a demotion, considering where LA Knight has been. Getting the U.S. title is a major promotion. I know everyone wants everything right now, and oh my, he should be the one to beat Roman. Let's slow down, okay? I'm totally for him taking that road, but the key is the follow-up. As you said, if after the loss he just goes back to just these short promos, meaningless wins or losses, then you have some. Then the fans have legitimate reason to be concerned. But that, I'm fine with that if that's the follow-up. Now, as you said, the guarantee of winning the briefcase and then your career taking off certainly doesn't pan out. I mean, look at Baron Corbin, for God's sakes. I mean, his just infamous squandered loss, and then he goes in, basically has gone into obscurity. I know he's feuding with Carmelo Hayes and all that, but the pairing of JBL and just over the years, just the underwhelming feeling that Baron Corbin has given, not to pick on him, but he's the first one that comes to mind for an example. All right, well, my pick is LA Knight. Yours is Damian Priest. Any final thoughts on this before we go to the women's side?
If we had to pick just for funsies, like a second, like a random option that doesn't include LA Knight, Damian Priest, and even Logan Paul, because I think Logan Paul would be our third pick, both of us. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So aside from those three, who do you think has the best chance?
Wow. I mean, that's dang. I mean, Butch, not a chance. I mean, Ricochet, just because, yeah, I'm Ricochet. We all know what that is. So it really comes down to Shinsuke and Santos. I would say Santos Escobar, just because, you know, he's got some, you know, some decent support from the fans. You know, he has shown in the ring he can work. And you already know what you got with Shinsuke. That wouldn't excite people. I think if you're going to choose between Santos and Shinsuke, you go with the unproven commodity. You know, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle with Santos, and you know he cashes in and wins the U.S. title or whatever. Yeah, I'd go with Santos if I had to pick. What about you?
Yeah, I guess so. I was kind of leaning Shinsuke because I'm just like, oh, you know, you could play off like the past cachet that he had in the main event scene, but it's just not exciting. It's too bad. Like, Shinsuke was like shot out of a cannon when he debuted on the main roster in the spring of 2017. Obviously wins the Rumble in 2018, but you make a lot of good points. It would just be a very boring, and I hate saying that, but it would just be a boring selection.
Well, he's the rock star of the roster. Remember, he's the rock star of WWE. Remember, they tried that for a while. Oh, God. All right, let's move on to the women's side of things. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match: Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus. There's some nice subplots going on in here too. Obviously, with Bayley and Io Sky, that are destined to implode. I mean, there has been so many hints of that. It's the worst kept secret in WWE right now. Of course, these two are going to have, some kind of interaction that's going to lead to the complete dissolution of the of Damage Control, which is not going to really bring a tear to anyone's eye other than tears of joy. So that is, the rest of the field, Zelina, Becky, Zoe Stark. Obviously, Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark have a beef, as well as Becky Lynch and Trish. So Zelina Vega is kind of the only one in here that doesn't have a kind of a sub-story within the story.
Yeah, and I think that automatically eliminates Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus, right? Like, as potential winners for this, Zoe Stark, Trish Stratus, and Becky Lynch. It kind of takes them out as potential winners for the briefcase. Am I right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be a good subplot. And I think that Lita's going to get involved. Like, does this not feel like a tag team match at SummerSlam with Lita and Becky versus Zoe and Trish? Like, that feels where this is going, right?
Yes. Lita is, I was just going to say that, Yep.
So you have that subplot, and then I'm going to just take Zelina out. Like, I like Zelina Vega, but I just don't think that this is the right win for her. And it comes down to Bayley or Io Sky to me. Honestly, like, this one kind of feels easy, and Bayley has won before. She cashed in on Charlotte in 2019, I believe. So for me, I think it's Io or Bayley, and I'm having a hard time. Like, I really like Bayley. I think Bayley has another main event run left in her. I think she did a good job with the SmackDown Women's Championship in the pandemic era. But then you also see Io Sky, and she's itching to break out on her own. So I'll let you answer first. Like, for you, is it as easy as Bayley and Io? And do you think, or between those two, who do you think has a better chance of winning?
Yeah, I'm down to those two as well. Obviously, Trish makes no sense for a lot of reasons. It's not star power. It's just, longevity and the fact that she's already in a match with, or in a program with Becky, and Zoe is her, kind of heavy. And Zelina is she's fun. I'm a big Zelina Vega fan. I've been since day one. I thought that she was underrated as a manager, and she does talk well on the microphone. But her winning isn't, I'd put her in the top 3 of picks. I think Zelina Vega is in the conversation, but I do believe that, it does come down to Bayley and Io, which, if I was going to pick, I think Io Sky wins. And the reason is Asuka is WWE Women's Champion. So that leads to an Io Sky and Bayley, or rather Io Sky and Asuka matchup. And I think that's a matchup people are waiting and wanting to see. We've seen Bayley and Asuka before, and that's a great matchup, but both are heels. You want a baby face, which Io Sky essentially is. People... it was at the last pay-per-view, or the one before, when she faced Bianca Belair, and the Puerto Rican crowd, I think it was, that just completely booed the hell out of Bianca Belair and cheered for Io Sky. And since then, it has been still a somewhat of a lukewarm reception for Io Sky, and that group of Damage Control is all but gone. So that's not a big deal. Io Sky is, you want to kind of introduce new talent with this briefcase. I think that's what this is going to do. I think Io Sky wins. I think she tries to cash in on Asuka. Maybe you have Bayley running interference and trying to screw her cash in, something along those lines. But Bayley and Io Sky are going to probably be going one-on-one at SummerSlam out of jealousy. I'm sure there'll be a lot of tension that'll boil over on SmackDown, and Bayley will eventually turn on Io out of jealousy, and I made you, and you return the favor by winning the briefcase and not helping me, and all that stuff. So plus they debuted at last year's SummerSlam, which would be nice poetic, a poetic ending. So that's my pick, Io Sky.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning there as well. I just, for whatever reason, I really want Bayley to get another run with one of the main championships. And I understand that maybe at this very moment there isn't really a spot for her, but she's on SmackDown, and that spot, I guess it's Asuka, right? Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I would rather see a heel Bayley with the championship than Asuka right now. And if Io Sky wins the Money in the Bank briefcase, would it not be better storytelling if Bayley becomes not the SmackDown Women's Champion? It's the WWE Women's Champion, right? Yeah, that Asuka has. So if the belt somehow got put on Bayley simultaneously while Io held the Money in the Bank briefcase, that would be pretty good storytelling, and you would have a really intriguing women's storyline at the top of SmackDown, because I know now they're trying to mix in Bianca versus Charlotte, which I think that's probably something they build, I would imagine, towards WrestleMania. Like, that's a main event level match at Mania, in my opinion. But do you think that you could see the belt put back on Bayley while Io is the Money in the Bank briefcase holder?
Oh yeah, that would that would be a whole lot of fun. Now, the dynamic would be even more fun if they still pretended to be partners and friends, and you could see the underlying tension rather than them splitting and then Bayley getting the championship. So yeah, you're right. I mean, Charlotte and Bianca are on a collision course, so that frees up Asuka to face Bayley. And Asuka could lose to Bayley. And you're right, Asuka as champion. Asuka as women's champion has never, to me, been like the most exciting thing in the world. To Asuka's defense, WWE has oftentimes done her dirty with a lot of her runs, and especially Raw Women's Champion a few years ago. It was just embarrassing how they just didn't even put her on TV. So, and we all know Asuka's limitations and what she is and what she's not. I appreciate that she's trying to change her outfit and her look and whatever color of food coloring is in her mouth lately. Like, whatever. Like, I get it. Fine. So she's trying to freshen things up, but we all know what Asuka is and isn't. So Bayley as champion is more fun. She can cut better promos. She is more annoying and easily more she's more dislikable than Asuka is. So I think Bayley as champion is good. I don't think Asuka's going to have a long run, even if it's not Bayley. I just don't see. I don't see Asuka holding this championship very long. I don't know about you.
I hate to say this, but Asuka's boring. Like, she's just a boring champion, and it sucks because she's awesome in the ring. I think that she has more to give, like, verbally. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I think that they go back to the well with, like, the gyrating and the dancing and the, not to take it away from Shinsuke, but the Mino speaking English. Like, I feel like they go back to the well too much with that. And it can be charming at times, but it kind of just comes off as annoying, and not in like a good heel heat way. Just like, dude, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know why you're dancing. I don't get it. And when I don't get it, like my interest goes out the window, So, I mean, honestly, like, I think that Bayley would be a much better champion. Obviously, like you said, you could string out the story with Io and Bayley all the way into the winter, if not maybe longer. And I do think that Bayley has more to give. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, aside from Rhea, who is just in a different stratosphere right now, Bayley is probably my favorite, like, woman wrestler on the roster. I think Bayley knows her character. She's good in the ring. She's become almost like an elder statesman, which is crazy because it feels like just yesterday that she was like the new kid on the block. Like, I don't feel like she's bland like Charlotte is in the same respect. Even to a certain degree, Becky is. Like, Becky reverted back to the man. Charlotte's kind of just treaded water, whether it be a babyface or a heel. But Bayley's actually really developed her character. She's like changed the way she looks. She's changed the way she acts. Like, she's added a stable, even if it flopped for the most part. Like, of those like 4 horsewomen, and Sasha's not even in it anymore, I find Bayley's the one that has evolved the best and is the most interesting nowadays. Even if Damage Control for the most part was a flop, I don't think that's an indictment on Bayley. I just think the group didn't work.
No, it didn't. I mean, when I first saw them, I remember all of us. We were all excited. Hey, Bayley's got a group. Cool. She should be at this point trying to help build new stars, and it just didn't pan out for many different reasons, and that's fine. Every group isn't going to be successful. So, but you're right. I mean, having Bayley as champion is a lot more fun, and Asuka, as I said too, she's just you know what she is and what she isn't, and the whole me no speaking English, I actually think they could have done that could have been a t-shirt. I mean, like, they could have done things with that with Shinsuke. I remember the crowd laughing, the announcers laughing. I mean, it's perfect because I know they probably don't want to go down that road for, obvious for reasons that I'm sure or outside of wrestling, but it could have been a t-shirt, it could have been a thing, it could have been his catchphrase. All of a sudden he's talking with somebody, he understands them, and then when he doesn't want to hear what they have to say, he could just say, I'm sorry, I mean no speaking English. Like, he could have done something with that. Anyway, but back to Asuka. Yeah, I don't think she lasts long here as women's champion, and I think the gyrating and all the dancing and the yelling is all just to overcompensate for the fact that she can't cut a promo, or WWE won't let her cut a promo. One of the two, outside of "you're not ready for Asuka," which is all we get out of every promo she's ever said. So it's overcompensation to try to deodorize the fact that she just can't cut a promo, or WWE won't let her. So I'm over that too. I'm turned off by the yelling in Japanese. Like, I'm over anytime anybody uses a secondary language that the majority of fans that are your core audience doesn't understand. I don't go along with, oh, well, cool, they're speaking in a different language and we're supposed to just pretend we know what they're saying, or fill in the blanks of what they're saying because they're yelling and being very, very cartoonish, so they must be saying this and that. No, I shouldn't have to think that. I shouldn't have to fill in the blanks because you guys can't. So anyway, my point is, Bayley and Io on a collision course for the championship. Yes, I think Io wins. Did you pick Io Sky as well? I kind of got lost in that.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Io. Honestly, I was on the fence between Bayley and Io, but I just feel like for Triple H, it's all about the best story being told. That's typically what he's been going for in his 12 months, and we all know that Vince probably has his hands in the cookie jar. But, I mean, I feel like he's going to go for the best story, and the best story with the briefcase is Io, especially if you put the WWE Women's Championship on Bayley.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. That is a program it's happening. It's just a matter of, is it happening for the championship? And I hope the answer is yes. Again, no disrespect to Asuka, but you're not going to see an evolution of her as champion. You're not going to likely see any depth to her character outside of some outfit changes and hair color changes and changes to her, her mist, right? Like, that's it. It's just very superficial changes. Albeit changes, they don't really deepen her character in any kind of meaningful way. So you know what you're going to get with Asuka, and to most fans, it's kind of like, oh, cool. Like, we like Asuka. Asuka's hard to boo, even in her current state. She's difficult to boo. I think she's better as a babyface. Just kind of keep her there. She can challenge for the championship at any moment, but to have a long reign, I don't think it's productive on the women's side of things, especially when you're trying to build new stars like Io Sky and Zoe Stark, for that matter, and others that are coming up. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. So we have agreement on the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have a disagreement on the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I have LA Knight. You have Damian Priest. Obviously the 1 and 2 choices for most people, but that'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. But did you have any final thoughts on the women's Money in the Bank ladder match before we close things out?
All I would say is I wonder how much of the oxygen of the match, for the lack of better terms, will be taken up by the Becky and Trish storyline. That's it. I'm just curious to see how much of that story is focused in the match.
Good. Yeah, I do wonder that too. I mean, I'm sure the announcers will spend considerable time talking about it, and they should. They're there to tell stories, as we're told. But yeah, I hope it doesn't overtake the match, because they can tell that story when it's just them. I hope it doesn't overshadow or kind of, like you said, saturate the match with just the constant dynamic of Becky versus Zoe and Trish. And, like the double team and like that dynamic, which will happen. I don't mind a spot or two, but you're right. It shouldn't totally overshadow the rest of the efforts from Zelina and from Io Sky and Bayley. Again, they'll touch on it, but I agree. Wait till SummerSlam. That matchup, I think, with Becky and Lita, presumably with Zoe and Trish, will be a lot of fun. So very good. And I guess we'll leave it there, but let everyone know what your latest show is, guys. He does a retro show every single Friday. Of course, this Friday, he will not be doing one because for pay-per-view weeks or PLE weeks, we do not do the retro shows. but every other week we do have them, and covering various topics throughout the last couple of decades. And let everyone know what your last one was that you dropped on Friday.
Yeah, so I covered Mick Foley's run post in-ring retirement in 2000, and it's kind of crazy to go back and look at all the different kind of hats Mick Foley wore in his post in-ring career, where, you know, you have him as special guest ref for what was it, Shane versus Vince. You had him as the commissioner of WWF following his retirement in the year 2000. He had a brief stint as a co-GM of Monday Night Raw. And then when he finally got back in the ring in early 2004, where he had his feud with Randy Orton, in a lot of ways made Randy Orton a main eventer with that feud. Ditto for Edge in 2006. You have the heel turn in 2006 that people don't often remember, where he aligned himself with Edge and went anti-ECW. And obviously he did his stint in Impact Wrestling, which I didn't follow. I never watched Impact. And then when he comes back as the Raw GM in 2016, but obviously I went way more in depth with that. But it was just crazy to go back and kind of track Mick Foley's career after he officially hung it up in a full-time capacity.
And don't forget the most celebrated moment of Mick Foley's career, introducing the 24/7 title. I mean, like, that by far exceeds every achievement that he's ever had. So, yeah. But guys, check that out. Check out the Retro Show. Done very well and covered very, very well. And, you know, a lot of these guys, just so you know, include audio from those times. It's not just a narrative. It's also audio from those moments that you guys get to live through and hear along with Anthony. So a very good show that I'd recommend you guys check out. And, of course, we will be back next Monday with the current state of WWE. And at that point, we will know the results of the Money in the Bank event on Saturday. So looking forward to talking about with you at that point.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Enjoy the show.
You too. Good night.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.